Hello, what is up, guys? It is Eternal Abyss today. I am back with another vlog. Today I want to talk about a particular game designer who I really admire and look up to. I want to talk about Satoru Iwata. For those of you that don't know, he was the president of Nintendo up until his unfortunate and untimely passing earlier this year. He passed at age 55, very young. He still had so much left to accomplish, I think. So, for those of you that don't know, he started off as a programmer in HAL Laboratories and they produced Earthbound until he was picked up by Nintendo and he helped do the programming on Pokemon Gold and Crystal. So, other than being a programmer for those two, he was also the fourth president of Nintendo and he has been an executive producer on the Kirby series, the Smash Bros. Series, uh, Pokemon series, Earthbound series, Metroid series, Mario, Legend of Zelda, Fire Emblem, and Donkey Kong. Basically, most games that Nintendo has released in the last, I'd say, 20 at least, if not more, years, he has worked on in some capacity. He has been a producer or a programmer or something. So there's actually a couple things about him that I really like. A couple of little like interesting facts about him that make me look up to him is, for example, in when he worked on Pokemon Stadium, he analyzed the original Pokemon games, and he developed a battle because with Pokemon, so the battle system in Pokemon obviously is very hard. It was a completely different version of Stadium in terms of how the Pokemon attacked and stuff. And he developed the entire code in a week without any references or anything, using it for all the attacks for the Pokemon stuff. And he did all the code in a week. He didn't use any of the old code, which for me would be something that I would do. It's recycling. That's something I do in game design. He didn't use any of that old code at all. He did it all from scratch. Another interesting fact about him, and this one I think is pretty big, is when they were working on Gold and Silver, they were going to be behind schedule. Not only were they going to be behind schedule, but it was because they were having trouble uh, putting Kanto into the game. Because for those of you that don't know, when you play Pokemon Gold or Silver, the Johto region, the second generation, that you can also, after beating the Elite Four, the end, you can also travel to the Kanto region, which is the first generation games, and go and defeat the gym leaders there. So, in regards to that, he is the reason that he generated the tools they used to put the Kanto games in there, and on top of that, he when they told him, "Oh, look, we're going to be, a year and a half, it's going to be another year and a half, so we're going to be behind schedule. We're going to release behind the expect. We're not going to make the deadlines. We're going to have to release past the expected date." He said no, and he managed to do it in 6 months, so they were still able to release it on time. And the last little interesting fact is another interesting fact is for Super Smash Bros. Melee, he was a general manager of corporate planning at that point in Nintendo. He still spent, and like he didn't need to do this at all, but he chose to. He still spent last couple of weeks before the game, debugging the game to make sure it would be ready by launch. So he didn't even he could have put someone on the task if he was that concerned, just to make sure that they can go through the game and debug everything. And it takes a long time to debug as well, because you got to debug like every level, and with Melee that's particularly hard. But he went through and debugged the entire game himself, just because of dedication. And I really he's had credits in pretty much almost any game Nintendo's had, in terms of as a programmer, producer, at least a special thanks for example, the Gold and Silver, the stuff he did with that, he got a special thanks in the localized versions, as well as his credit to programming in the Japanese. So I really admired him, and I thought he was an amazing man. He was a programmer, he was a designer, and he was also the president of Nintendo. And he was a great man, and I think if he was still alive, he would have been accomplishing something amazing right now. And I want to leave you with one of his most famous quotes was, "On my card, I am a president. In my head, I am a designer, but in my heart, I am a gamer." Sorry, I may have mixed up. It's on my card, I am a president. In my mind, I am a programmer. In my heart, I am a gamer. That is one of his most famous quotes. That is one of the biggest ones that people remember, and it is one of my favorite of his quotes. And I will always admire Satoru Iwata, especially because so many of the games he worked on were games I enjoyed growing up. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about him because I admire him so much. And thank you for listening to another vlog. I will talk to you next time. Goodbye.